All right, so welcome, Katie. Thank you for joining today on this power half hour. Try and keep it to around half an hour. So just gonna share my screen with you, and you know when you can see it. Just selected a quote today from a guy by the name of Stan Grof, who we're going to do some holotropic breathing tomorrow. So I thought it's kind of appropriate. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So just he's got a few quotes here, but the top one, if you want to just read that, we'll have a little discussion about it.
Yeah. He suddenly understood the message of so many spiritual teachers that the only revolution that can work is the inner transformation of every human being.
Yeah. So any thoughts on that?
I ask myself, when he's saying he, is he speaking about himself? Or
Yeah, it's from a book, so I don't know the context. Maybe he was speaking about someone else, but you know, the message is clear that maybe it was himself. You know, so every spiritual teacher is saying this. You know, the only revolution that can work is the inner transformation of every human being. That's where it all starts. That's where it all ends. Trying to change the world outside of yourself has never worked. It has to come from within. And the inner can then create an outer transformation. That does happen. That does work, but it's inside out. You know, the revolution, say that Jesus brought about, because it really was quite a transformation, was internal. It was an inner transformation in himself first. And then he helped others to do the same thing. You know, his disciples and followers had this inner transformation as a result of his teachings. And they then went out and they created this movement, the Christian movement, which was pretty revolutionary at the time. Before that, certainly in the Western world, there wasn't really much idea of love and compassion and mercy and all of these ideas. It was a pretty brutal world 2,000 years ago. And so there was this inner transformation that then led to an outer revolution, which did transform society. I mean, those ideas have come into our lives in many ways. The fact that we have now societies where there's some kind of idea that, you know, you can't just steal and kill and murder and do whatever you like. We've you know, these are based on this idea of loving your brother, that you must treat other people with respect and kindness, which well, largely, you know, came from Jesus and his teachings in the Western world, anyway. So we see it. You know, the inner transformation leads to outer. Another one is where you're on when I was talking about Martin Luther. We watched. I sent out that Martin Luther movie. Might have been before you joined. Can't remember, but Martin Luther was you know, responsible pretty much for the Reformation in Europe, and it started with his own inner transformation. He had a kind of a mystic experience. One night he really struggled with sin, the idea that, you know, we're sinners, because that was the Catholic teaching. We're sinners, we're all guilty, and he just couldn't get over that. And then one night he was wrestling with the words of Paul that, you know, not by works but by grace we are saved. So this is in the New Testament. Paul said, wrote this, and he was wrestling with this, and he just kind of broke through to another level and realized that it's not about anything he does that's going to save him. It's given by grace. It's given by by God, by this divine presence, which he then took Christ as the kind of intermediary to that. But that inner transformation that he experienced of recognizing that sin is not real is a pretty major breakthrough in consciousness. And then the Reformation was based on that internal experience, because he then looked at what was being taught by the Christian church, and he was like, this is wrong. You're teaching people that they are fundamentally that they're sinners, that they're guilty, and there's nothing that they can do. Like they can only temporarily try and expiate it. So there were all kinds of practices like the confession that's still in place, but they were selling indulgences. The church was basically selling a get out of jail free card, right? If you buy this indulgence, then all of your sins are wiped clean. And Martin Luther was like, that's just not right. You're using sin and guilt to as a business model, as a foundation of a business model to get people to pay money, because the church needed money for its various projects, and this isn't right. So he challenged it, and so the revolution that was the Reformation in Europe, which swept through it just about 500 years ago to the day. I think it was in 519 AD or something that he published his 95 precepts, and he put them on the church at Wittenberg. That kicked off a profound revolution in European and world society, because as a result of that, I think we have modern democracy. Would we have had democracy developing as it has if those ideas hadn't been seeded? Probably not. So you see, it's all about the inner transformation. It was Martin Luther's own inner transformation that led to this outer revolution. So that's the key. We want change, we want revolution, but it's about doing the work internally. Is the message. As Stan Grof says, every spiritual teacher has said the same thing through human history. It's transformation of consciousness. And second quote is, consciousness does not just passively reflect the objective material world, it plays an active role in creating reality itself, which points us into the quantum realm of, there is no reality in the absence of observation. We are creating it as we go along. Consciousness and the seemingly external world cannot be separated. They are the internal and the external components of the same thing. One, it's all mind. It's the operation of mind. So therefore, if you change within, then the external must change. This is, again, a fundamental precept of most spiritual teachings, which is why the inner transformation can lead to outer revolution. But as Jesus said, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. Because it's these ideas in your inner consciousness, in your mind, that then change your mind. Then you now get inspired to take action by these ideas which are coming from the Holy Spirit, which is just the idea of oneness, the remembrance of unity and oneness. And that then inspires you to maybe take action, which then creates some kind of form in the external world. But it came from this change in your internal consciousness. So it's the inner world and the outer world. If you want to have a quick look at the integral model, I'll show you that. There's a diagram. So you've got the inner and the outer. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
So this is the integral model that Ken Wilber came up with, which just summarizes this what I just said. That and he looked at all the spiritual teachings and theories and in psychology and so on, and came up with this model to explain this world. It's still within the construct of this world, but it's trying to explain it in a way that it's clear. understandable, it makes sense. So these two different dimensions, individual and collective on the one hand, and interior and exterior on the other. And where the quadrants, where they intersect, you've got quadrants. So it's a 4-quadrant diagram. So you've got the I, which is the subjective. That's your thoughts, your emotions, memories, states of mind, perceptions, immediate sensations. So that's what's going on internally. This is what Stan Grof's pointing to, the inner transformation, transforming this, your thoughts and your emotions, your states of mind. That then leads to the objective. So you change your mind, that has effects on the material body, including the brain, that you can measure changes in brainwave states. If you have strong emotion, you can observe that will reflect the sensations in the body. That means the body is changing. There's biochemical changes, all kinds of things will change that you can observe. So these are visible and measurable. Behavior, so how you act, what you say, how you act, competences, and skills. But this all is related to this. Thoughts, emotions, states of mind, perceptions drive the objective. So these are interconnected. That's what this model is saying. Subjective leads to objective. Objective feeds back into subjective. Gives it information and data to process, which then creates more thoughts, more emotions, which then creates the objective, and so on. So these consciousness and its apparent effects are completely interwoven. And on the collective level, the same applies. So the intersubjective, which is shared values, meanings, that's culture, language, relationships, that's any kind of sense of a collective consciousness, now has impact on the interobjective, which is the its. So this is systems that we have. We have network systems, government systems, corporate systems, natural systems, where groups of living organisms, beings, are working together. There's some kind of symbiotic relationship. And so the we affects that. And each individual affects the we, because the we is just a sum total of individual thoughts and emotions and perceptions. And the individual behavior creates the collective, the its. And so it's all interwoven. This is an integral model because it's all connected. But where you start, how do you start with transforming it? You don't start by trying to change the external, you change internally. So let me change my mind about the world, as Jesus says. That's the subjective interpretation, perception of the world. And then you have to then change your thoughts and your emotions and your beliefs to do that. And so that's the way that you create change in the external. But it's inside out. Trying to change the external without any change here is never going to work, because these are actually the drivers of the change. The mind, beliefs, thoughts, emotions drive what we do, drive what we say and what we do. And that then creates our external reality. So pretty simple quote, but it's profound. You know, it goes very deep to the very heart of our reality here, and how we create a better life and a better world. Do you have a question?
No, I have no questions. I had some thoughts about that.
Okay. Yeah.
If we have time to.
Yeah. We do. For a few minutes.
Yeah, so if everyone would if every human would be born with blind, like no one would have eyes, then we wouldn't experience something as outside of ours. Okay, like maybe, okay, in my mind it was like this: if everyone would be born with no eyes, so there is no one then maybe there would be a different understanding of objective, because Science seems to me is based mostly on the perception we get with the eyes, and
Yeah, seemingly objective reality. So scientists say, well, we're being objective, but are you really? Because you're still observing. So the observer and the observed thing are not separate. And the observer brings his or her mindset, all the thoughts, emotions, memories, perceptions into their perception of the external world, and that influences. Quantum mechanics says the external world is not independent of your mind. So in the famous double slit experiment, depending on what the experimenter wants to see, that affects the outcome of the experiment. It's mind blowing.
And
so you stream electrons through these two slits, and they combine to form a wave pattern. And so you go, okay, well, these are waves. And then, but then if the experimenter is looking for is trying to find a particle, then they have a particle form. So the experiment responds to the intention of the experimenter.
yeah,
This is what they found. And
that
it's like that
reminds
happens over and over again. Depending on what you want to see, that's what you'll see. It's like, whoa, okay. So there's no objective reality then. It's totally bound up with the observer. This is why, fundamental interpretation, Copenhagen interpretation, quantum mechanics says there is no reality in the absence of observation. That's exactly what the mystics have been saying. This isn't some objective reality. It's in our minds. This is a projection of our minds. And so our minds and the seemingly external reality are not separate. This is all happening in our mind. It's a projection of the mind, and these are all connected, which is what the integral model is. It's all connected. You can't separate them.
And now I see what I want to state with the idea if everyone would be blind, because then it would be like I hear voices, but I can't say from where they come because I don't have the eyes to say, oh, it's coming from this part which seems to have a separate body. And then I would experience different, like I hear them all in my mind. And then everyone would have the experience that they all hear voices within them because they can't say it's without, because they have no eyes. They have not eyes.
But it goes further than just eyes. It's your sense perceptions. You've got ears, eyes, touch, taste, smell. All of these things.
Yeah,
all
okay.
of these things give you some kind of external reality, don't they? But what the mystics are saying is, how do you know that this is real? How do you really know that it's real? Because it seems to be, right? You have a perception of it. There's some kind of experience of it that your senses are giving you. But how do you know that that's not all happening in your mind? That the whole thing is a construct of the mind. So the sense perceptions seemingly feed this data back to you, and you go, oh, well, therefore, there's an external world because I'm getting these sensory inputs from this external world. That all seems to be real, except maybe it's part of a construct. We're in a dream world, in a matrix, where that's what it's intended to make us believe. The mind has set up this dream world so that we will believe that we have a separate body and identity and there is an external world. And our senses are telling us that because that's what we wanted to believe. We remember the ego wants to be separate. So it needs to have a separate identity. It needs to have a body. Therefore, it creates sense perceptions. It's all a setup of a mind that believes in separation.
And when we got more into that, when we have more experience that this is a dream, then we can play with the material body. Like I read that about David Hawkins, how he got free of many illnesses, and I started to have experiences with body experience. Like I burned my finger, and then I done a meditation about just feeling it without thoughts, not believing that I need to suffer from this, and then the pain was gone. And normally my skin turns red when I burn, but it didn't happen. And today I felt like I got up too fast, and then I felt shaky, and then I thought to myself, no, that's not true, and then it was gone in a second.
So you start to see, as you start to come into awareness, your mind is very powerful. Your mind is creating a reality all the time.
Yeah.
How you interpret the world, and seemingly objective things. Oh, I burned myself, therefore no, because that's not objective, right? You can change your mind about it, and then you change the body's reaction to that. It's not going to respond in the same way. If you make it into a big problem and you attach to it, and you go, oh my God, I need to go to the doctor and I need to treat it. Well, guess what? You just made it into a big problem, and because that's what the mind wants, that's what it becomes. Whereas, if you don't make it into a problem, these things can just go away. They can heal very, very quickly, like in a matter of minutes or hours. There's been many stories of mystics, yogis, they can heal stuff in a matter of minutes. It's just because the body is, they don't see it as some kind of fixed reality. It's just, it's very malleable. It's a product of thought. So you change your thinking, and you change your reality. So I mean, there's many stories though. I'll give you one. There's a chap called Jan Brule, who's a breathing, so one of the world's kind of leading breathwork teachers. So he was playing football, soccer, and he injured himself. It's like his knee kind of got dislocated and popped out of its socket, and it's quite a serious injury that should take months to heal. But because he's trained in these ways and done breath work, he just lay on the side of the field and he was like, okay, I'm just going to breathe through this. As the pain arose, he was like, just breathe and let it go. Each exhale was just like, let it go, don't attach to it. And everyone's like, are you okay? No, he said, I'm fine, just carry on. Didn't go to the hospital. Most people are like, oh, doctor, and you need to. He just went, no, I'm fine, I'm just going to breathe through this. And the next day he had to do some kind of lecturing. He was running a workshop or something. So somehow I managed to stand, and when the pain came, he just breathed through it. He was like, okay, I'm just gonna release this. It's just let it come and let it go with the breath. And so I just practiced that for a few days, and he said within a week it had healed. In 1 week, what should have taken months to heal, he was able to do a walk up a sort of mountain the next week.
Should have
7
taken
days later, his body had healed, just because he didn't make it into a problem. He just let those sensations just pass through. It's like, hey, it's just arising and it's passing away. It's arising and it's passing away. And he used the breath as the kind of tool to help him do that. And that's very powerful.
Yeah, it takes more than a week for people who use 20% of their brain, and for people who use more than 20% of their brain, it takes a week.
So he was just letting go. So he wasn't attaching to it. He was just not making it into a reality that was a problem. And that's really the key. So if you go, oh, it's really a problem, and therefore I need to go and address the problem, and then we go down the whole, in this case, medical route, and it's like, you've made it into that condition, and then the doctors are going to say, oh no, this will take months to heal, because and you need to have a cast, you need to strap it up, and you need to not move and give it, and they tell you all of this, and then the mind accepts that, and it goes, yeah, okay, well, it's going to take 3 months. And so then that becomes the reality. And he just didn't do that. He just went, I'm just going to let this go, and not attach to it. And I'm not going to seek treatment or anything. I'm just going to let it heal. And very, very, very powerful.
And I need to correct myself. He didn't. The mind is not in the brain. He used his mind, and people who don't use the mind, they will suffer. And people like this guy, they don't suffer from pain. They know that there's a difference between feeling pain and suffering from pain.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't make it into a problem. It's like, it's a sensation. It's a
Yeah.
sensation. It's happening, it's coming, and it's going, and it's passing through. It's like, it's okay. Sensation of this, whatever, hot, burning, and then most people go, oh, that's pain. That's terrible. I've got to fix the pain. He's just like, no, just let it go. Just breathe out and release it, and don't attach to the sensation. Don't give it a reality, and it's going to pass through, and it's just going to pass away. And that's, so it's, everyone's using their mind. It's just how you use your mind.
Yes,
The
that's
people
right.
people who attach to these things and they go, oh, and I need to go to the doctor and I need to go down a whole conventional route of treatment. They're using their mind, and there's beliefs and thoughts and values. Everything's bound up in it, but they're just not using it in the most constructive way. They're using it in a way that makes the problem real, that creates pain and suffering for themselves, which doesn't really make sense. Why would you create pain and suffering when you don't have to, when you can just be free of it? And it's all a choice.
Yeah, it's the decision what do I identify when I use the mind's tendencies to act from the place of being an animal, which has three choices: fight, flight, or act like that. Then it's all about doing something, and then it's about that there's something outside me which can hurt me. And that breathing guy, he saw that it's a movie, so he don't have to fight or flight or act like something because he's watching a movie.
And he uses breathing as a tool,
Yeah.
just to release it, and not attach to that sensation, because what's going on is sensation in the body. And then most people go, that's pain. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I need to do something about it. And he just went, it's a sensation. It's arising. And as I breathe and I exhale, it passes away, right? The sensation comes in waves and it goes in waves and it passes away. And I'm just not going to attach to it. I'm just going to let it pass away. And that's all he did, just using his breath to help him as a tool for the mind to help him let it go. So yeah, it's powerful stuff. This subjective thoughts, emotions, memories, states of minds, perceptions, and immediate sensations. Okay, so that's like, I perceive a sensation, but I don't interpret it. I don't give it a reality, because how you perceive it is internal. You go, oh, but that's objective. No, it's not objective. Your perceptions are subjective. So how you perceive that injury is subjective. He perceived it in a certain way. Someone else might have perceived it very differently. And that then created the objective reality of, well, the one gets healing in a week and the other one, it takes months or doesn't heal at all, because the mind is not in the right place.
I thought it's like the I is watching a movie about the its and the we, and it's constantly giving commentaries on it, and it's my decision to believe in it or not.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So we create our own reality. This is what it's saying. Okay, so we do a meditation.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just close the door. Might be a bit of background noise. Some cleaning going on in the background, but just making yourself comfortable, sitting 2 feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, noticing how stomach rises and the chest rises, and subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching the sphincter muscle, locking the energy in. Raising the energy up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile. And just check in and scan your mind. So this subjective reality, what's going on in there? Any thoughts, emotions, sensations you're aware of? Just observe them without attachment. So just breathing in, creating some space, some awareness. So bringing the light in. So you just bring the light into whatever those thoughts and those emotions, those sensations, and you're willing just to release them. Just exhaling. As you exhale, just let them go with the breath. Breathing out, just letting it all go to the nothingness that it really is. You exhale, just releasing and letting that energy just dissipating, it's just passing away. The nothingness it really is. It helps you can imagine just letting it go like a cloud, just blowing it away with the breeze of your breath. The cloud's just drifting away. So things, thoughts, emotions, sensations just pass away. They rise and they pass away. Everything's just arising and passing away. So it's impermanent. Cloud patterns are not permanent, therefore they are not true. They're not true reality because they come and they go and they shift and they change all the time. So how can any of that be real? So instead, just sink into a deeper awareness, breathing in and out through your nose. Just observe the breath. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. When you exhale, notice the air flowing out of the nostrils. Observing subtle flow of air in and out through the nostrils, the touch of the breath in the area just below the nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Notice that. And just sinking inwards, going in within to this deep, calm, still place. It's an awareness that's beyond thought, beyond emotions, beyond sensations, which will arise if you just quiet your mind. So by focusing your attention on the breath, single point of focus, you stop the thinking mind, the monkey mind, and find this awareness arising in your mind. Quietness comes from your own true awareness, pure formless awareness. This is the very essence of you. This is your true mind, the ground of being, foundational consciousness, before thought, before conscious thought, before subject-object, dualistic perception and thought came into being. There was just this pure formless awareness. And the truth is, it's still there. It remains the foundation of your mind. And it's accessible to you all the time. It's the very foundation of your mind, and how can it not be there? Without this, there would be no thoughts, no emotions, no sensations, no perceptions, no world. All of those are just a cover, a veil, covers this pure formless awareness. So just sinking inwards, deeper and deeper with each breath. Observe the breath, follow the breath into this pure formless awareness, to this state of mind. It's pure and formless and just aware of itself. And there's nothing else to do, and there's nowhere else to go, and there's nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. And sink in to this state of mind, this pure formless awareness. For a couple of minutes of deep silence. And so if any thoughts, emotions, sensations arise, just you let them come and you let them go. They arise, you observe them without attachment. And as you exhale, you just release them. Just the breath. Like cloud patterns just drifting away. Blowing away with the breeze of your breath. To the nothingness they really are. And just observe the breath. Flowing in and flowing out, into the nostrils, out of the nostrils. Notice the sensations of the breath. Touch of the breath in the area just below the nose, between your nose and your upper lip. And let that take you into your own pure formless awareness. And then a couple of minutes of deep silence. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just be as you truly are for the next 2 minutes. So just gently coming back. So awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world, but from this very calm, non-judgmental state, this pure formless awareness that you really are. Doesn't judge or label or interpret these things. Just allows them to be. And that's a very peaceful state of mind to be in. So one, just breathing in. And just letting the stomach rise and the chest rise. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scanning your mind. Noticing thoughts, any emotions, any sensations. And just release them. Whatever they are, they're just cloud patterns blowing through the mind. The only true reality is the blue sky, just your pure formless awareness. Beyond the clouds, unchangeable, unshakable. Changing of the cloud patterns does not affect it at all. So you blow everything else away. You just allow this blue sky and the light of your true awareness to shine through that, shining through your mind as your own true eternal reality. Smile, because this is the truth of who you really are, and you are experiencing it right now. So on the count of two, noticing The weight of your body is pressing down into the chair, your feet is touching the ground. So you breathe in again, noticing inflow of breath into your nostrils, subtle flow of air into the nostrils, noticing what you're touching, feeling your hands, your body. Notice any smell in your nose as you breathe in. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Whatever the sounds are, you just allow them to arise and to pass away. They come and they go. Without attachment, without judgment and interpretation. They have no power to disturb you at all. And so you just let go. Breathe them all away. And on the count of 3, you open your eyes. And now just stay in the same state. So even though your eyes are open, your judgmental mind can still be at bay. You don't have to start interpreting and judging. So just take a minute to look around, observe the various objects in the room. Let your eyes randomly rest on an object. Notice that you're not judging it, giving it a name, labeling it. It's just this really peaceful awareness that underlies your perception of it. And that awareness is the same for every object. So you look at another one, whatever it happens to be. Okay, don't name it, judge it, label it. You're just aware that this awareness is at the foundation of all of your sense perceptions. So you're training your mind that this awareness is the truth. And that your mind can stay rooted in this awareness. You don't have to go into emotions, thoughts, emotions, sensations, attaching to them, making them real and creating all kinds of problems and suffering for yourself. You can stay in this awareness even while you operate in the world. And this state is then the enlightenment in action, or the flow state, as it's been called. So that's what I wish for you for the rest of the day. To stay connected to this awareness and you stay in flow with whatever's happening. Just don't allow any kind of negative thoughts and emotions to come in. If you need to reconnect with this awareness, all it takes is a breath or two. Close your eyes and just take a breath. Reconnect. And you can use this Course in Miracles lesson, workbook lesson 97, just to connect you. I am spirit. Such a simple lesson, 3 words. I am the spirit. In other words, I am this pure formless awareness. I am awareness itself. That's what it's saying. And that should help you stay in this, connected to this pure formless awareness, and allow that to direct your thoughts and your words and your actions, which means you'll have a happy flowing reality. So that's what I wish for you, and brings us to the end of the meditation and the session. So thank you, Katie, for joining, and namaste.